And we begin this morning with China's military conducting aerial and naval blockade drills around Taiwan on its last scheduled day of exercises. At least 70 Chinese warplanes and 11 warships were spotted just today. Here's what Taiwan's foreign minister told Fox News about these drills yesterday. Watch.
If you look at the sorties of the Chinese Air Force, together with the ships, they're coming very close to Taiwan, and any accident might spark an uncontrollable war in between Taiwan and China. And if other countries are trying to intervene, it might be the start of a war of grand scale.
All of this following House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's meeting with Taiwan's president in California last week. Joining me right now is the Gatestone Institute senior fellow and author of The Coming Collapse of China, as well as The Great U.S.-China Tech War. Gordon Chang is with us this morning. Gordon, great to see you. Thanks so much for weighing in here.
Well, thank you, Maria.
You know, how would you assess China's response to all of this? First, there was a lot of huff and puff about we're going to come back with a retaliation for Kevin McCarthy's meeting with the president and the House lawmakers actually going to Taiwan, meeting the vice president there. And yet, what did we get? We see these drills around Taiwan. How would you assess this response?
Yeah, these drills resemble those that China conducted after Speaker Pelosi went to Taiwan in August. The real issue here, though, is you've got two militaries, the American and the Chinese, operating in close proximity to each other, and anything can happen. You know, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, says that war is not imminent, and I can understand his argument. But when you have China engaging in dangerous intercepts of the U.S. and other militaries in the region, anything can happen. And we have a military that is not prepared to deal with probable scenarios. You know, General Mike Minahan, on that January 27th leaked memo, talked about war with China in 2025. Well, you know, it could very well be before then.
Well, I mean, at this point, what is the U.S. supposed to do about it, given the administration's soft approach toward China? Would there be any retaliation for these provocative moves, that anything can happen because they're operating in such close proximity?
Well, as long as these exercises just go off as planned, there won't be any retaliation from the United States. But, you know, we have the means to undercut the Chinese military. I mean, we're funding it when you look at our trade and investment. And this is horrible, not only from a strategic point of view, but also from a moral point of view. We should not be engaging in these business transactions with China because we know they're using the proceeds to build a military which is configured to fight Americans. This is a Chinese military that knows it should not go to war, but it emotionally wants to go to war. And that means we're in a situation where anything can happen at any time.
Well, I mean, you bring up a great point, and that is one of the reasons that Kevin McCarthy last week said that he would pursue ending China's most favored nation status. How tough would that be to do?
Well, that would be good, but we need to go more. We need to use the powers of the President of the United States to redirect factories, to get them to move to our hemisphere, which we can do because we have the DR-CAFTA FTA, which means that with a few tweaks to it, factories would move out of China, out of Asia, into Central America or the Dominican Republic. That would be very good for us from any number of different perspectives. So we don't need to feed the Chinese war machine. And when history looks back at us, they're going to wonder what we were thinking by keeping our manufacturing capabilities in China.
Yeah, and not to mention all those companies that American investors perhaps unwittingly are investing in all of the indexes that allow them to invest in Chinese companies that are tied to the Chinese military. A new Pew Research Center poll, though, finds that more than half of Americans do not have confidence in President Biden's ability to deal with China. Gordon, the people have figured this out, that this president has not responded in kind.
Yes, and it's not only the allegations that are continuing over Hunter Biden and other members of the Biden family, it's also the president's misguided, outdated views of China. You know, they might have been appropriate 3 decades ago, immediately after the Cold War, but certainly not now. And we're seeing American policies in Saudi Arabia, the other 5 countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council, Iran, Morocco, Brazil, that are deeply injurious to America's position in the world. I mean, these are active policies that are undermining us, and this is just incomprehensible, Maria.
Yeah, and you mentioned corporate America. Tesla is planning to build a new Megapack battery factory in Shanghai right now, breaking ground in the third quarter of this year. Production beginning next year, Gordon.
Yeah, what's even worse is that China can use Tesla's vulnerability to China to try to influence Musk not only on Twitter, but also on SpaceX. And Congress has already looked at this issue of Musk's vulnerability because of Tesla. This is a national security issue because we depend on SpaceX, which is a leader, of course.
Yeah, this is a great point, Gordon. Thanks very much. We will see you soon. Thanks very much for joining me this morning.